greatest show on earth.
Welcome back to the Culture Town, guys. Once again, I'm your co-host, Chris Bower, joined by my buddy Tim Hyde. Tim, you're still in your old place.
Yes.
When you moving?
So this is being recorded in second week of April.
Yeah.
It'll be out, I think Thursday or Friday. So not that it makes really much difference, but about 2 months.
Thank you for the timeline update.
I'm obviously, if anybody if you don't know me, I purchased a home for the first time. I'm very happy here in Greenville, South Carolina. So I'll be here for a while now. I love it. It's a great area. As you know, you've been here a couple times. You stayed here.
You like Greenville?
And that area, what's great, guys, is my new place is literally about 250 yards away from my current apartment. So the ease, I'll get hire movers to do all the big stuff. Like for example, my Peloton weight, and by weight I mean it's just sitting there waiting on the floor because it's not being used ever. But like that kind of stuff in the beds and stuff like that. But like for the most part, I've been doing 1 trip a day so far. I have 3 months to move, so I jinxed myself.
Just take your sweet time.
Yeah, I jinxed myself in a positive way, which is really great, but also shitty at the same time. Is I renewed a lease because my lease expired April 1st, and I knew I wasn't finding anything mid-March. I was like, I'm just not going to force it, and ended up renewing my lease for 3 months, so paying a little bit more just to do that temporary 3-month lease. You know, paying an extra $400 a month. That's how they get you.
You immediately found something.
And I'm not even exaggerating, that day I signed the lease that morning. I told them, I said, hey, I'm going to sign my lease. They sent me the paperwork in the morning. And then that afternoon we went and looked at the house. I ended up deciding on about a week later. So that's just how it is. It's fine. I'd much rather have 3 months. And luckily my bills don't overlap. So the only thing I'm paying twice is internet, and that's it. Everything else is the same. So yeah, my mortgage doesn't start until July 1st, and then I get out of here June 30th. So it's fine. It'll work out just fine. And I don't have to rush because, as we all know, in the con industry, things pick up like crazy in May. I think I have the first week of May off, and then after that, it's nothing.
Of May. I like to call it first 2 weeks of May days because there's almost never anything out there.
That like Cinco de Mayo weekend, there's nothing. A Mother's Day weekend, there's hardly ever for anything.
Yeah, it's always slim pickings. And it's consistent. It's like every year, the first 2 weeks of May suck. You just take what you can find.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is. It's interesting because there's so many shows the last 2 weeks of May that you would think some of them would just move to the first 2 weeks.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to give Chris some advice that he never ever takes is, sometimes you pay yourself to stay home. You know?
I know.
And there's not a lot of great. I will tell you right now, if I'm not doing anything at all with me and my other team, there's not anything great to do that weekend. In theory, right?
There's lots of Hail Marys.
There is, but
that may or may not work out.
With how everything's going in the industry, like a lot of it's on the downturn. We have some nice, cool little shows that are good here and there, your planets and stuff like that. But for the most part,
it's a grind. Yeah.
All of them have, for the most part, has been down, which leads us into our first discussion here. A little clue as to the results of our C2e2 review. So Chicago, Illinois, McCormick Place, C2e2.
Which is not a show I've done in a few years because the last couple times I did it was real mediocre. And the last time we did it was still during the post-COVID boom.
And it was still
terrible. Yeah. So I took a few years off from it. And then, actually, before we get into C2e2, because this brings up my point, the reason I had to go to C2e2 this year, or chose to, I should say, was because I thought Steel City was the second weekend in April, like it always is. A lot of us did. And come to find out just a couple months ago, the date changed. They said
it was. It was that day.
It was because it was on my receipt too when I paid last December.
Yes,
and that somehow the date changed, so it was the first weekend.
We'll get into that after. Let's get C2e2 out of the way. We're talking
that's what
about
led
it
to
now.
Me booking C2e2 because then all of a sudden my April had this giant hole in it, and of course the only 2 shows that weekend that are worth mentioning would be El Paso and C2e2. I would love to have gotten
Oof,
into El Paso, but 2 months out, they're sold out.
no
So,
chance.
and this is just a little fun fact, guys. C2e2 always says they're sold out, but 2 months ago, I booked a corner booth. So I'm just saying.
Literally a month ago, I booked mine.
Yeah.
So
They're not sold
in
out. They
a
love to say they
in a premier location
are.
that was
Yeah.
fucking dog shit. I'm gonna tell you right now.
I didn't spring for the premier
I'm
location.
I'll just straight up get into it.
Yeah.
I'm not happy with the ReedPop in any way, shape, or form.
Really?
This is my own personal belief. This is not Chris, not anybody else. This is my personal belief. They are on an absolute free fall as far as the quality of their shows and the quality of their staff.
Their prices aren't in a free fall. They're going.
Nope.
They're raising again next year.
Yeah, they're going up for less quality.
Yeah, dude. It's like WonderCon.
Yeah. Oh my God, don't get started on that. But it's one of those things where like C2e2 is one of the worst shows in the US for the amount of money you pay for the amount that you get. I'm not saying it's the worst. It's not at all.
I mean, the size of the crowd is substantial.
If you have a corner booth there, or like if they're gonna try and sucker and bully you into a 20 by 10 corner inline, you're in it for almost $4,000.
Yeah, dude.
And hotels are expensive.
It's like 5 or 6.
I think realistically, if you have one booth, your break even point is at 3,500 to $4,000, and I think if you have the two booth, it's closer to $6,000.
I know I paid $2 for one corner a couple months ago, so I'm sure it wasn't the cheapest price. But then, according to the sheet that they sent out mid-weekend, they're upping the prices again next year. I didn't look exactly what they were, but I know they're going up.
Oh, are they starting to include tables and chairs?
Oh, no.
No, they're not.
That's so sweet. And if you go and find some, they come around and decide if you still have one of their tables, you get an invoice in mid-weekend.
Correct.
That happened to my neighbor. And, they do that out in Emerald, too.
Yeah, that's a bully move.
100%.
Wait, is it our best friends at Freeman that run that show?
I think it is, yeah.
I think it is, yeah. Freeman is one of the worst organizations on the planet.
Yes. In the industry, when it comes to con unions, I don't have a single positive thing to say about Freeman.
No. I mean, there's some cool people in it. I'm not saying all of them are bad.
Never met one, so couldn't tell you.
I've met a couple of cool dudes in it. They'll be like, "Yo, I can't do this for you because my boss will literally fire me if I do this. Give you this free fucking outlet or a free." Like I remember one time this guy, I bought electrical in Atlanta,
right?
And they had it to where it was this was not Momo. This was a different show. Okay. And Freeman was there. I will say that. I know for a fact. And I, paid for electric. And the problem was their electric they dropped the cable and had to go across the aisle into my booth. And it was like, a foot into my booth, and I needed it at the back, not the front. Right. And I said, like, I don't have an extra extension cable because I have everything I need to set up how I set up. Right. And the guy was like, "Oh, okay, hold on." And he goes like, "Well, here, like, let me give you, like, I'll find an extension cable." So he found one, hooked it up, right? His boss came over, looked at me, and charged me $38 for the rental of a 6-foot extension cable. And I said, I went and I looked and I went, they got the invoice the next day on my table, left on Saturday morning. I had it come in and I went and I took it and I was like, $38, what are you talking about? So I walked over there and the guy was there and I said, so what am I being charged for this? Yeah. And he goes, yeah, you got an extension cable. I said, no. Your guys is what didn't go far enough. Yeah. They went like an inch into my booth. I need at the back of my booth. You even made me pick the little spot on the diagram where I wanted it. I wanted it in the center of the back, and you didn't do that. I said, you didn't live up to your charge. And he goes, yeah, but you used one of our products. So, and I said, yeah, but you didn't fulfill up to your side of the bargain. So why would I pay more for that?
Also, the entire system is to price capture.
So the manager looks at me and goes, well, I've already charged you, so it's irrelevant.
Yeah, exactly. I can't possibly.
I was like, oh, back. Okay, cool, great. And guess what I did? I called Chase,
Well,
who
I
I
kept
do
that extension
hundreds of
cord.
thousands of dollars off, and through my credit card, and I called them and said, I didn't authorize any of these charges. This is
There
some
you go.
third party company ripping me
There you
off.
go.
And
Yeah.
they charged it right back.
Yeah.
And I got an email saying, hey, we say no, we got a charge back. Is this an error? And I never replied back. I was like, yeah, fuck
Absolutely
you
not.
guys.
It is not an
Nope.
It's
And I got all my money back. I got the power I got the power. I got everything back.
Freeman will
So
sit there and do $150 tables, sometimes $200 tables just to rent for the weekend, which is why everybody goes to Walmart or Target and buys a table and then just leaves it there after the show. It's their entire business model is gouging.
Going back to ReedPop,
yeah.
Why are they the only ones that do that?
I don't know. They're one of the biggest con companies out there.
Is it laziness?
It is cheapness for one thing. But it's ironic. They charge more than anyone.
It's not cheapness because you can charge an extra $200 and comes with 2 tables, and they can make more money off doing that.
We should be getting it with the prices we're paying.
I agree.
$2,000 for a corner booth with no tables or chairs,
or $8 trash can
it's highway robbery.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what show you're at. That's highway robbery. But Reed gets away with it because so many people want to get into their shows and do their shows. And it's really frustrating.
Yeah. They need, and I'm sure one of the people will listen because I am friends with a couple. I'm friends with Amber. Amber's great. She works really hard. She has about 10 people's jobs at the company. She's currently in Tokyo. I'm jealous of her right now. At Star Wars Celebration. Also, that was kind of the shitty part about C2e2 that I'm going to call them out for. There was no one on site except for our good buddy, Mike Negan. Mike Negan was the only person I know on the entire staff that was actually had any saying anything that was on site. And I'm like, all these other people went to Japan and whatever. And I'm like, come on, guys. Or they hid away and they never came out or whatever.
They stay in the office and they don't interact because usually they're fielding complaints. And I'm sure they're naive enough to think, oh, it's just vendors or jerks. No, it's because you guys don't give good customer service. Like, you're not here to help us at all. You're here to rip us off. It's frustrating.
So that's the thing that I think was the most frustrating thing about this is that the communication at that company is the worst in the industry by far.
Horrible. And it didn't used to be that bad. When you had a designated sales associate before COVID that had been there for years, it was not that hard to get a hold of them. But since COVID, when they got rid of their workforce and then they keep bringing in new people that they move out 6 months later, you can't develop a relationship with anybody. My artists just went and did Emerald City for me. And I told my new rep that I wanted to go down from a corner in an inline, and she put them in an inline and then blamed me for it because the invoice said 100 square feet, just like the invoice for a corner would say 100 square feet.
Yeah, a corner is 100 square feet.
And I haven't heard back from her. So who knows if I'm still in a ReedPop show.
Yeah. So I put in the the interest form for New York, and I've done it every year since 2015, I think.
Yeah, and I'm back into it too. But
no, I haven't gotten anything from it. Right? They haven't messaged me. They haven't done anything. Right? I've emailed them 5 times.
Yeah.
Okay. And 2 times I reply back saying, "Oh, we're not into the we're going to get through Emerald City and then we'll move on to that." Blah blah blah. So I said, "All right, fine." Which was now like how long ago? A month and a half, 2 months almost. 100%. And then, so what's funny is I can't get an email back from these guys, and yet I'm going to tell you about a situation that happened with one of my staff members this past weekend, and they ended up. I got an email that a fellow vendor ended up complaining that our music was too loud when it was playing on one of my staff members' phones. That's it. And he goes,
I've never heard a phone speaker. It's just the phone.
Just the phone.
Hurt my ears from across the aisle.
He was watching somebody streaming, like a gamer streaming. There's no way that was too loud, right? And especially in a bigger, busier show where it is loud. Like that convention is loud when people are down doing stuff, whatever, right?
Anything.
And So I'm like, okay, that's so dumb. But then like within a minute, they replied back and were like, oh, so sorry. They basically said, if you do not lower your music, we're going to reprimand you. And I was like,
But
excuse me?
on
This
Saturday,
person,
they
Chris,
had
stop,
karaoke for 3 hours.
Chris, stop. Don't let me get this all out, because this is where I'm going to tell you the frustration level on my part. This person who is doing this is one of the customers service success people, is not even on site. They're not even in America, by the way. So it's not like they flew them in to come here and have a customer service rep. They just replied back to someone else's email, and they didn't ask anybody to come by at all and say, hey man, that music is a little loud, can you turn it down? That's all you have to do, right? But they would have walked by and realized that, one, there's like 30 different music things being played all the way around us, so it wasn't that at all, right? And two, the audacity to think that you're going to reprimand. What are you going to fucking spank me? Are you going to hit my hand with a ruler? Like, what are you going to do? Are you going to kick me out of the show? Because I'm going to call you out right now. If you're the vendor who complained about this, you're a fucking bitch, straight up. You're a pussy. Don't ever go to shows anymore. You don't deserve to be in the industry. Because if you're complaining about someone's phone while they're streaming at a show in which you are hawking out in front of your booth and hawking and telling people and to come into your booth and trying to do this shit, fuck right off, dude. First off, that vendor should be out, not us. We should not be reprimanded. They should, for being little bitches, right? And I'm tired. I'm wound up over this shit because it bothers me, because it's such a loser mentality.
Real loud booth with actual speakers blaring. I had that situation in Anime Vegas a few weeks ago, and I mean blaring. Like, it's like to the point where you're just like, look, no one's doing good business with that going on. If you had a store, you would not have music blaring at the top. I mean, I guess Hot Topic can get away with it, but we're not at a Hot Topic.
No.
And this is not something I can scan. I got to talk to people to sell to them.
Correct.
And most people do in the con industry.
But I'll tell you right now, no phone is ever being that loud enough to impact somebody. Now, we had a friend of ours next to us in the booth, and she's like, I couldn't even hear it in my booth.
Yeah. If you're 10 feet away from someone on a phone, unless you're in a dead silent environment, you can't even hear what they're listening to. It might sound like a little bit of noise, but there's nothing else.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
And so what's funny is I replied back and I gave them all the information, and then they were like, okay, thank you so much. We appreciate your work. I said, I just texted my guy and I said, just turn it off for the weekend. Don't do anything. It's stupid. It's not worth the fight. And he goes like, all right, cool. He goes, he's like, I was literally streaming somebody on Twitch. That's all I was doing. I forget the Twitch streamer. If I could, I'd shout you out right now, but I forgot. So come Saturday, like you mentioned. Now, mind you, this all happened on Friday. So Saturday comes, and they say, they even gave a breakdown in the email saying that like it can't go over 0.82 decimal, blah, blah, blah. You're not allowed to do this because it disrupts the show floor. You know, right?
How loud that is.
Oh yeah, 100%. And funny fact, if you were there, any vendor on the entire show floor, not at the front where we were at, the entire show floor,
I was at
around 4 o'clock on Saturday, they started karaoke bullshit singing, and it was so loud. You and I were all the way in the back.
All the way in the back.
I had trouble hearing some of the people talking to me.
I can't imagine this is literally to the stage,
hundreds of feet away at minimum, further than what we were in the back. We're talking 8 to 15 rows back. I mean, it was insane.
From the premium row, the entrance row. It sounded like, and those guys paid thousands of dollars more than we paid. I would have been livid if I had paid $12,000 for a booth and they were blaring the announcements for hours.
So, fun fact, I wrote them a scathing email back. I went on I'm a professional Karen and replied back, and I said, I find it interesting because if I was to use my decimal sound meter right now, I would tell you it would be significantly higher than 0.82, whatever it was. And they were far exceeding that, to a point in which I went up, and at the table I was out, we had customers actually walking away because they couldn't hear what my employee was saying because it was so loud. We had several people complain around. And guess what? For almost 4 fucking hours, that shit went off and on, and terrible singing, yelling, and blah, blah, blah the whole time, right? And I wrote it back.
Everybody can sing that thing.
No, they cannot. Whoever did the Michael Jackson song, you should never take a mic ever again in your mouth. That was the one, like the Beat It or whatever song was one of the worst. And I'm like, oh God. And we were on the way back and it was that loud. I mean, insane, right? And so guess what? Did I get a reply back? Of fucking course not. And they cowardly hid behind their stupid little rules and wouldn't say anything in my face. And,
never going to happen.
No. And it's like, who can I talk to? Can I talk to my rep on site? Oh, wait, I don't even think my rep works there anymore. So
I was going to say, did your rep change this week? Because, I mean, I'm usually like, I'll try to email them. I'll get like an auto reply of, this person doesn't work here anymore. You're like, great. That's awesome.
I mean, my rep's name that I had wasn't on that piece of paper saying that was as a rep. So I assume they're not with the company anymore. And they did start last year at Emerald City. So I'm going to guess if they had a year contract, then it would have been over at Emerald City. And that's why we don't hear from them again.
I think so.
But like for a billion-dollar company, they are so fucking pathetic at running their shows.
I know. It's rough, man, because again, they keep jacking the prices up. And it's
get some industry people there that know what they're talking about, pay them a good salary, and keep them for 5 years at minimum.
I know.
Let them leave. Sign them with a 3-year contract, and you can't leave.
They used to do that.
They did.
Used to do it. I don't understand why they. I mean, besides COVID, it's been 5 years. Let it go. Like, go back to the way you used to run your company. It was way better back then.
The decision making. I feel like once Lance left, who was the president of the company, once he left, the organization, in my opinion, fell apart.
I know.
And I'm not saying that the people that have it right now, the higher up, like Christine and a couple other people that are doing a bad job because they're not. I just think that like overall as a company, you don't have enough people employed that are good at their jobs.
No. They give too many jobs to people that aren't good to begin with.
Yeah. It's one of those things where, like, stop hiring people from outside. Oh, I used to work at this ticketing platform in Sweden. I don't give a fuck. Like, I want somebody who runs floors that knows how to put a show floor together. Because I will say this right now. C2e2 is one of the worst laid out convention halls in the United States.
Great.
It's awful. Great. Like, for example, our booth, we paid for it to be at the front. We on the map looked great. We got there. There was only one way to get to my booth, and it was only in front of me where there was a huge column. And it was just one of the things where it's like, dude, you guys, like, stop putting big booths at the front that mess up show floor, flow.
And the aisles right where you guys were.
Yeah, it's amateurly done, and if they can't do it, hire somebody that can.
Well,
hell, I know somebody.
Is they're overselling the premium booths there because they get more money for them, so they're trying to pack all these people in this one front section. And they have to narrow everything and make it tight. And then when you go anywhere else in the floor, it's wide open.
Chris, I'm going to solve bullshit on that because you could just, I don't know, move the stupid fucking beer garden to the back and not.
Which is way too big.
I'm going to tell you right now, move it to where Artist Alley is now, and that side of that area, like towards the front where Artist Alley is, where it's any vendor that's over there dies. That is the worst area to be on that show floor. If you guys ever got opportunity to see C2e2 and you haven't done it, do not do anything on the very far right. If you look down on the map, on the far right of the show floor, past that last aisle, don't ever get in a booth near there. Ever. It is a desert back there. You will bomb. You will lose money. No matter what your reps tell you, it is a terrible spot. Put the beer garden there. Because the beer garden is actually a great location on the show floor.
If
I can loosen that, I'd be happy.
They could sell the shit out of that location. I have no idea why they put it there. It's bizarre.
I would argue that the beer garden area is probably the best location on the show floor.
Yeah, it is.
And they're giving it to a fucking beer garden.
It's bizarre.
That will go anywhere.
They don't even make any money off of it. People just sit there for free.
It's so stupid.
Yeah, I don't understand.
It's so stupid. But it's just another amateur move done by a company that can't keep doing that.
Well, they don't have business doing amateur moves. If you're going to charge those prices, you should be the most professional company out there.
Agreed. Someone mentioned this as in passing as an older vendor that's been around forever. I'm not going to name him out, but like he literally walks by and he looks at me and he's like, "How you doing?" And I'm like, "Shitty." And he goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "Literally right now, I have the same feeling as I did about the fall of Wizard World." He goes, it's that same mistakes they kept making, where they're hard to get a hold of. The communication's terrible. The show floor layouts are soft. The prices got too high. The attendees, they take up. Okay, I'm going to talk about one thing. I'm going to transition to this into because it was what he's talked about, and then this is how we discussed even further. He goes, Tim, do you know how much the tickets were to get in today for Friday? And I was like, no. He's like, $85 plus fees. And he goes, Sunday's $95. And Chicago's not cheap anyway. So the parking around it is going to be $30. Your lunch is going to be $20 per.
Was 18. Well, that wasn't even the farthest, but that was the one I parked the first 2 days. $18. That was like one of the cheapest plots. Everything else was higher than that.
That was far as fuck.
Yeah, it was very far. It was like a half-mile walk.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where like it's an expensive city. People are kind of shit, but it's still a Midwest city. Yeah. It's not a New York. Stop thinking you can get away with New York style of a show, because it's not that, right?
Given the ticket price, the crowd showed up.
They did.
A huge crowd. But because it costs so much for autographs and so much to get in, they were not spending money like they normally do. At certain risks they were, I guess, because a lot of people had stuff in their hands, but I was getting a lot of single sales and a lot of cringes for other stuff, and I have some of the best prices on the floor. So when I'm getting cringes, I know it's this crowd just like, we just don't want to spend it.
Yeah, and, it's I work for somebody else, and we were down significantly. Yeah, and he was upset because he's like, looked at the numbers and he goes, we had like we're down like 10% in transactions, but the amount per transaction was down significantly. And so that's the problem that we guys have that a lot of people don't take a look at. If you did 125 transactions in last year at the show and this year you did 100, you're like, oh, it's down 10%. That makes sense. But then you look at the per sale transaction. If it goes from 68 to 32, suddenly like your show went from being a $5K profit into like literally making $100 profit. You know what I mean? Like it's
making what I normally make there, but
which is crazy.
That sucks. It's more money. And I was already making too little for that show, which is why I quit doing it. And I decided not to re-up. So I'm going to go back to not doing it. It's like...
Well, guess what? It's also on the same weekend as Planet and Lexington. Good luck, C2e2.
Planet, WonderCon, Lexington, and C2e2 are all on the same weekend next year.
If you guys are listening to this and you haven't done any, or you've only done this, Planet first, for sure.
Sure.
Probably WonderCon if you're on the West Coast, even though WonderCon is falling from grace. But Lexington, I would do Lexington. I would take the risk on Lexington over C2e2.
You don't do well at Lexington, so that's
I don't, which says a lot.
Lexington. My artists always do Planet, so they'll be at Planet that weekend, and I already booked my Lexington booth. They went on sale about a week ago. And
good on Jared for trying to get that shit out quick, because he realized that, like, oh my God, I'm going up against a real competition.
I know, but I know being 4 hours from home and what I paid for the booth, even though it's a little bit more than it used to be, even at Lexington, I'm still going to make more profit than ever going to C2e2.
Yeah, 100%. You'll spend less, make a little less in sales, but you'll make the same more money profit.
I'll make more profit.
And that's something a lot of people just, they get that FOMO on big shows thinking, and that's what I did. I'm completely guilty of adding the show last minute when you and I have talked about the C2e2 as a no-go for us. And we both were silly and make a bad decision.
I know. But again,
both of us,
it's that you're sitting at home doing nothing that weekend, or maybe making some money, and you're like, but what if it's good this year? But we all do that to ourselves. That's what vendors do. There's not a single vendor out there that doesn't do that.
Correct. For me though, I wish I'd stayed home because
me too.
I lost
a little bit of profit, but it wasn't enough for the stress of that show and the expense of that show. So if I had to do it over again, I think I would have not gotten into El Paso and just stayed in my recliner. It would have been better.
I wish you would. I mean, honestly, we need to just go do something. These weekends where there's a shitty show, you and I need to make plans to go do something that we can't get out of.
But then we're going to be spending money and not replenishing it. And
who cares?
That's my worst nightmare.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. Anybody's listening to it, Chris has only taken one vacation a year for his whole life, and it's shitty. He won't leave the U.S. He won't go anywhere fun. He won't do
a working vacation.
Yeah, which is hilarious because he goes to Disney during Christmas with his family, which we did the numbers. It cost 3 times more than what I spent going to Spain.
Oh, yeah.
Business class, staying in really nice hotels 100%. For 2 weeks.
And that's not even all on me. That's stupid Disney.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah. But don't worry. They're going to lower
prices. ReedPop of entertainment companies.
Oh, my God. At least they get back to you when you ask a question. But.
Yeah. Well, for the prices you're paying them, they better do a lot more and get back to me.
Correct. Yes. But yeah, so did you make 3x your cost?
Oh, God, no. Nah, I barely. No, I didn't even make twice my cost, which is why I did not re-up.
Correct. Yeah. I was negative 50% also my cost. So I did not make money. I lost money.
Yeah.
These are the shows in which you wish, when you talk about your like FOMO, this is where like you're happy because you made a little bit of money.
Yeah.
But like I lost money working in a weekend, dude.
Like, we'll say this. I'm going to say a plus about C2e2 that we didn't know until this one. And I got a friend, or thank our friend of the show, Lisa, for finding out about it. But they always put that move out sheet on Sunday on your booth when you get there Sunday morning. And I didn't read that far down because I already knew my plan. I always park in that parking garage across the street.
Yep.
Walk way across. It takes 2 loads. No big deal. Cost me $30 to park there, but whatever. It's one day you're done.
Worth it.
On the sheet, it said you could come in Monday morning. Now, let's pause there.
Okay.
Monday morning pickups works great at Salt Lake. I've done it 3 years. Awesome. You drive right to your booth. You load your up. It's amazing.
And Salt Lake's the best because the show ends at 7 p.m. and people kind of stagger out a little late. Probably doesn't until 7:30. You're not out of there before 9 if you're lucky.
And you know that line, it's usually midnight because the line to get loaded out, because it goes till 7 o'clock on that Saturday night, which is the last day of the show. So a lot of people are there all night. Either way, it works great there. 2 years ago in New York, another ReedPop show, they sent that same message in their move out sheet. And about 70 of us vendors showed up Monday morning to get our stuff. And the job center goes, no, you're not coming in here. Nobody told us. There was no reps from Reed. It took us 2 hours to get someone on the phone. They finally let us go through one door that we could take out one load at a time. And we had to go across 11th Avenue during rush hour to load our cars. That, by the way, was a parking lot that the guy was charging $60 for us to park in and load. It was a nightmare. And I have TSD from it. So when Lisa mentioned that, I was like, that's ReedPop. I will not be doing that. But sure enough, Monday morning, Lisa drove right in, right to her booth in the center of the floor, loaded her stuff, and she was out of there in no time. So at C2e2...
Was she able to drive to her booth?
Drove right to her booth, she said.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So C2e2 Monday morning loadouts are real quick.
So not this weekend, but the following weekend, you and I is one of our favorite shows of the year. We'll both be at is Huntsville. And they let you pull in on Thursday. Yeah. Oh, baby, you just drive it to your booth and drop it off. Oh my God! Anybody who's ever not had to load in a booth, man, it goes from an hour and a half load in to literally 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, nice. It's lovely.
It takes up so much time and honestly effort. Pushing these heavy carts up these huge load-in ramps and all that stuff. It's like so much less effort just to pop it right out of the cart, right up to the table. It's a dream, dude.
Yeah, I agree. I'm very excited for Huntsville. I have my new big booth setup that everybody kind of saw at Planet with Pop Cathedral.
I'm excited to have 2 booths for the first time there.
It's even bigger this time, so we'll see.
Did you get 3 booths?
No, but how he's setting up my booth's going to make it look even more so on par.
I got you. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, I like that.
I would argue that's. Is it a top 3 favorite show of the year for you?
It's definitely
got to be up there.
It's definitely top 5.
Yeah. Because what's your number 1? Just your favorite show of the year to go do.
It's changed over the years.
Yeah, of course.
New York used to be my favorite.
I don't know how that's the case.
That will never be on the list again. What is my favorite show to go to? Well, I know one of them's happening in Omaha this weekend, which is CampiCon. It's not a huge moneymaker, but man, do I love Omaha. It's one of my favorite cities to eat.
Really?
Yeah, it's a really,
Okay.
really great city, and it's just gorgeous. There's a couple little shows like that I just love going to. I think Rhode Island Comic Con's one of those. I love
Oh,
Providence
the
so
fried
much.
chicken.
Oh yeah,
Oh my God.
yeah, that Korean
I
fried chicken.
I have dreams about that Korean fried chicken, bro.
Ooh,
Oh my
it's
God, it is
awesome.
so good. This
Korean
guy
fried
ate
chicken.
30 of them
Yeah,
so easily, and I ate like 15. And you guys know me, I'm not a huge like throwback bunch of food. I had like 20 of them, and I could have kept going just because they taste so good. It doesn't even matter. You're not
they're amazing.
full or hungry. You just keep going because they taste so
Yeah,
good.
that's one of
Oh
my
my
favorite
God.
cities to go to.
Yeah,
Um,
I like Rhode Island.
and honestly, I love the Maine shows that I do. All the cities in Maine are awesome, and
Rub it in, asshole.
you know, I don't know. I
It's
like
my
those
last
little shows
show.
though.
My
Do what?
last show. I got it. My last
Yeah,
state.
you got it.
Then I'm
You
good.
you have been dragging
Have
your
to do
feet on
Maine.
that. It's
I'm
weird
not
for
even.
someone to be in the industry this long and not have been to all 50 states repeatedly.
I don't think there's anybody that's been to all 50 states besides you.
Really?
I'm
Well,
not
okay.
even kidding you.
A lot of people do fly, so I guess that kind of takes that
Yeah.
out. But if you
Like, how many
drive, you've
people
been in
go
this
to
industry
Alaska and
10 years,
Hawaii?
you've been to all the states.
I don't think so.
How
How
is
many
that
people?
possible?
Alaska and Hawaii, bro.
Yeah, but I've been to
If you have a
those.
no, if you have a like, for example, like Ariel, friend of the show, Ariel Hart,
Yeah.
with the
I
con
guess.
floor, how is she gonna go to Hawaii?
Yeah, she
She
can't really.
can't. She
Yeah.
can't go to Alaska. And so there's most people I know have never been to both unless they're artists. That's the
Yeah, and I guess a
only
lot of
way.
people, getting back to what we were saying, a lot of people will stick to the bigger shows for, I guess, more of the insurance that they'll make a certain amount.
Yep.
And if you just do those every year, you're not really getting, you're not
And
branching out and testing new
how
markets.
many, you know this because you grew up
Yeah,
in that, but how many people in the Midwest actually travel?
it is rare.
I mean, if
It's,
you live in, if you grew up in Kentucky,
I do.
Michigan, Illinois,
I
like
know
you
so
don't
many
go
people in
anywhere.
Kentucky that have never left the city they're in. Or if they have, they went to Nashville once or
Yeah,
Louisville.
the big city, and they go to Louisville, and you're like, okay, calm down.
I know. Pump the brakes, guy. Yeah.
Yeah, no shit.
That's very common. It shouldn't be though. It really shouldn't. I
No,
think people it's travel is one of the biggest blessings you can have as a human being. Um,
correct.
it
I
just
just got to get
opens
you
you up.
across over. I got to get you across the pond so you can expand on that thought
I have no doubt.
because
Yeah. I also traveling comfortably is big important to me. So
yes.
going across the pond is tough to do when you're my size. But
So
yeah,
I'm gonna call you on the podcast. So if anybody else is watching this, that something comes up that you can back me up. If
yeah.
I pay for your flight with points,
Because I'm still not making money.
it doesn't matter. Stop with that
Yes, it
bullshit.
does. That definitely
Oh,
matters.
it's such a silly argument.
It's a rule.
That if we went to Spain or whatever, and I flew
Yeah.
business class, so you'd
Yeah.
fit in the big ass seats.
Yeah.
For 10 days, where you'd only miss one show, would you go?
No. Because if I could have a show that I could go to, then I'd be more interested.
So, like, okay, for up with this, the first week of May, when you know for a fact that there's nothing, you're telling me that after Huntsville, we could leave and
I
go.
booked every weekend in May. I didn't say that there was nothing for me. I know how to find shows. I'm saying for normal people.
No.
That's right.
I'm talking about the fact that there's never been a fantastic show that's so killer that you have to in the first 2 weeks of May.
Yeah, very true.
It's just is what you'll find some smaller ones, of course, but there's not any premiere shows. Like you're not losing out on $4,000 by not going to a show the first week of May.
That's probably true.
You're just not. So I think like you just need to open up your fucking eyes to taking a weekend, 2 weekends off, and just going to go do something that is going to be worth it. Because the money goes away. The money goes away. The memories don't, and the experiences don't.
Yeah, every money I've ever made has gone away.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, no offense, if you do a show or not, the money's gone. It's not there anymore. So, who gives a fuck? Might as well spend it on something you enjoy. You know, fuck your kids and family. Let's go to Spain. You know what I mean?
Screw your family.
Screw your family, bruh.
It's possible.
You heard him, guys.
Yes, it's possible. I'll give you.
What about even like? What about a cruise? Would you do a cruise?
Yeah, I've never been on one.
Would you go on one?
The only one I ever considered going on
you drink.
was that Wizard World one because they were going to have vendors on it.
You're such a piece of
I looked
shit.
at it hard, dude. I was like, but I was like, who's going to come buy art when you're on a cruise?
No.
Nobody's going to do that. So I'm not
No.
doing it.
But if you could do like a 4-night, 5-day one where you leave on like Saturday and you're back on the other one on Thursday, so you'd only miss one weekend of a show somewhere in
What's so hard
February or whatever.
Because I'm missing a show, it's hard to enjoy what I'm doing because that's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah,
that's
but let's just say
I struggle with vacations.
Okay, let's say for me, like February, like my birthday is February 9th. The last 2 years I've gone on cruises. That's going to be a thing for me now, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can promise you right now, on my birthday weekend, there's not going to be a phenomenal show out there to be at.
Sure.
So like if you go to Florida and do that, and then the next week end up going up, and like this past year, I did the cruise, and then 2 days later I drove up to Charleston. It was great. That was a nice trip where I didn't lose out on any shows because let's face it,
I love going to.
That is true. God, I just wish there was a killer show there.
Yeah.
There should be. There really should be.
Yeah, because it was pretty rough this year, earnings-wise. I was glad we went just because I love going to the city, but...
Yeah, but we had a disappointing fucking meal.
Well, I wouldn't, yeah.
Yes, it was.
It was only disappointing, though,
mediocre.
It was so good the first time we went.
It was average this time. It was a 7 out of 10, where last time was like a 9.9 out of 10.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. And now it was pretty average. So, yeah, I know. That sucked.
Wait, what else did we do?
But
we
then
went to 2 places.
Barbecue.
Oh, that barbecue made up for it. Ooh, it was expensive, though. Holy, was it expensive?
$40 primer, or $40
each. Oh my god, that was insane. I love it.
Yeah, it was
yeah, but we can talk about food and all that stuff all the time. But speaking of food, let's transition into what you and I's. Yeah, so Retro Eats Expo, guys, we're working on it. We're gonna randomly pop in and just give updates on what we've been doing to kind of keep you guys involved as listeners, whether you do the show or not, as a vendor, attendee, whatever. I think it'd be cool for you guys to at least know what's going on with us, right?
Absolutely.
And so right now we have our first guest, which is great. They've kind of become friends of ours because of how close we've gotten with doing this process. Yeah. And the original creators of basically everything you see mainstream wise with Chuck E. Cheese.
They did all the Chuck E. Cheese art from the 90s to the 2000s. And I mean, everything that most millennials grew up with Chuck E. Cheese, it's their art. The branding, the signs in the building, the
posters,
art, everything. So, yeah, they're a really great first guest. And just in case you don't know what the Retro Eats Expo is, in case you missed our announcement, it is a convention that celebrates fast food and eatery history. Everything about it. From your McDonald's land characters of the 1970s to your Showbiz Pizza Place, animatronics, to Chuck E. Cheese, to Burger Chef. All that. There you go. Yeah, Billy Bob's Wonderland.
You're wearing one too. That's hilarious. Okay. Yeah. We did not plan that, actually, guys. I didn't notice this till now. But yes.
Got Rockefeller shirts on. But that's what the Retro Eats Expo is going to be. It's a first of its kind convention that we're bringing to you guys. So I think I'm going to be doing, if you like our YouTube page, jump on youtube.com/ or at Retro Eats Expo. Like that page, follow along with it. We're going to be posting anytime we have a guest announcement. I'm going to be basically doing a video over on Set Streets and Eats, which is my channel, and then I'll connect it over to Retro Eats. So we're going to be doing videos and rolling out content for the show for the next 6 months. And
we're also going to be doing a live, which Chris doesn't know about this because I'm going to tell you right now. We're going to be doing a live next week at Huntsville.
Oh, sweet.
For a little bit, as a nice little Q&A kind of sesh for like maybe 15-20 minutes. We're going to sign on and talk about Set Sheets and Eats related stuff that has anything to do with Retro Eats Expo. So
let's do it.
We will let you guys know the time. We'll plug it. It'll be Thursday, probably during setup, or Wednesday or Thursday or Friday before the show or something. So we will let you know.
How do you look at what time the show starts on Friday? That's always a tough show because I don't ever know to come in Thursday or just come in Friday morning.
Thursday, because it lets you drive in and drop everything off on your booth.
Is that only on Thursday. Okay, maybe I will.
I will be there Thursday because
Yeah.
I know I could get up early and be there and done on Friday, but the driving and thing, and also like spending an extra day in Huntsville isn't the worst thing ever. So
no, it's a great town. Great town. I love that town.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you guys, everybody. We do appreciate all of your time, your support, and everything. Please share, like, subscribe, everything. With Con Culture Convo and with Retro Eats Expo as well.
Do it.
All right, guys. Well, thank you guys so much. Appreciate you joining the pod, and we will talk to you soon.
See you later.
Join the convo.